The scent of turpentine and linseed oil was my oxygen. In Studio 4B of the prestigious Kensington Art Institute, I found my truth. My brush strokes weren't just paint on canvas. They were pieces of my soul translated into color and form. Professor Alastair Thorne, the celebrated genius of the contemporary art world, had chosen me as his sole protege. "You have a raw, divine talent, Genevieve," he'd say, his voice a warm, paternal rumble. "But raw talent needs guidance, shape. Let me help you find your voice." For 3 years, I lived in a tiny, drafty attic apartment, surviving on instant noodles and scholarship money, pouring every waking hour into my work. And Professor Thorne was there, guiding, critiquing, mentoring. He kept my best pieces in his private studio for further study and refinement. "These are too personal, too vulnerable to show yet," he'd say of my series Chromatic Memory, paintings that explored grief through layered color fields. "The art world will devour you, trust my timing." I trusted him completely. Then came the invitation to his solo exhibition at the Rothschild Gallery, the most exclusive venue in the city. A preview for my inner circle, he told me, eyes twinkling. "You've earned this, my dear." The night was a whirlwind of champagne and couture. I stood in a simple black dress, my heart swelling with pride for my mentor. Then the velvet curtains parted, my breath caught. There, on the central wall, illuminated like a holy relic, was La Crime Rear on the Tears of Things. The painting that had taken me 8 months to complete. The painting I'd wept over while mixing the exact shade of blue-gray that represented my mother as absence. My signature was gone. In its place, a Thorne 2023, I stumbled through the gallery, my vision blurring. Cascade of Sorrow, Echoes of Absence, Monochromatic Heart, my entire Chromatic Memory series, rebranded as Thorne's Luminary Cycle, price tags $250,000, $500,000, $1.2 million for the centerpiece. I found him holding court, accepting accolades. "Professor," I whispered, my voice shaking, "those are my paintings." He took my arm, his grip firm, steering me into a private alcove. The warmth was gone from his eyes. "Genevieve, be careful. These are my works, inspired by our sessions. You signed the mentorship agreement. All work produced under my guidance is considered collaborative, with ownership discretion falling to me. You have no proof. Who would believe an unknown student over me?" He gestured to the glittering crowd. "I've made you part of something great. Be grateful. Or be destroyed." The threat was velvet-trapped but clear. I was nobody, he was a god. I left the gallery, the cold night air hitting me like a slap. I didn't cry. I walked to the Thames and watched the dark water swallow the city's lights. He'd taken more than my paintings. He'd taken my voice, my grief, my legacy. But he'd forgotten one thing: artists don't just create. We observe, we document. And for 3 years, I'd kept detailed digital journals, time-stamped photos of each work in progress, scanned sketches, audio recordings of our sessions where he called them my experiments. The student would become the teacher, and the lesson would be ruin. Disappearing was the first step. I withdrew from the institute. I told my few friends I was going to an artist residency in Norway. Instead, I used the last of my savings to rent a converted warehouse in a forgotten part of the city. My new studio had no windows, just concrete and brutal honesty. I pinned up printouts of the auction listings for my stolen paintings. $1.2 million for your grief, I wrote beneath one. I had 2 goals. First, become a better artist than Thorne could ever hope to be. Second, build an irrefutable case. By day, I worked a mundane data entry job. By night, I painted with a fury that scared me. I didn't just replicate my old style, I evolved beyond it. Where Chromatic Memory was about personal loss, my new series, Veritas, was about systemic deception, layers of translucent paint that revealed hidden images beneath, mirroring how truth can be obscured. Simultaneously, I became a digital archivist. I created an encrypted timeline, matching every stolen painting to its genesis in my journals. I found the receipts for the specific, obscure pigments I used unavailable in Thorne's preferred supplier. I even tracked down the carpenter who made my custom stretchers, who confirmed the unique wood grain in photos of my originals. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source: social media. A former classmate posted a throwback photo from 2 years ago, a studio party. In the background, clearly visible on my easel, was the unfinished La Crime rerum. The date stamp was undeniable. Thorne, emboldened by his success, was everywhere: interviews, talk shows, a TED Talk on the vulnerability of creation. He told my story as his own, describing the profound loneliness that inspired the works. Each lie was a brick in his own prison. After 18 months, I was ready. I had a new, superior body of work. And I had a weapon of mass destruction in the form of a meticulously compiled digital dossier. I named my anonymous artist persona Anathema. I created a website, a whisper in the dark corners of the art internet, teasing fragments of the Veritas series and asking a single, haunting question: what if the art world's greatest genius was its greatest thief? The art blogs picked it up. A whisper became a murmur. Thorne dismissed it as the bitter rantings of a failed imitator. He had no idea how close I was. The International Contemporary Art Fair, ICAF, was the Olympics of the art world. Thorne had secured the Central Pavilion for the global premiere of his new series, which my sources told me were actually paintings I'd done in my second year, which he'd been holding in reserve. I secured a tiny, peripheral booth for Anathema, not through the normal channels, but by leveraging a contact from my data entry job who owed me a favor. My booth was a minimalist cube, white walls, concrete floor. On opening night, as thousands of collectors, critics, and celebrities flowed into the main hall to worship at Thorne's altar, a select few received an anonymous, elegant card. * Truth unveils at booth G17. Come witness the original. * Curiosity, that potent drug, brought them. First a trickle, then a crowd. They saw the Veritas series. The technical mastery was breathtaking, but it was the conceptual depth that stunned them, the way each painting literally peeled back layers to reveal a hidden core. As the crowd swelled, I stepped forward. I wore not an artist's smock, but a simple champagne-colored blouse, my hair in its signature bun. I looked like a gallery attendant. Then I picked up a microphone. My name is Genevieve Sterling. You know my work. You just know it under another man's name. I nodded to my assistant. A screen descended, and there, in horrifying, undeniable detail, was the proof. Side-by-side comparisons, my timestamped Genesis images next to Thorne's finished masterpieces, the pigment receipts, the audio clip of him saying, "This blue, Genevieve, it's transcendent. I've never seen anything like it," the viral throwback photo. The crowd from Thorne's pavilion, hearing the commotion, migrated over. Soon, he stood at the back, his face ashen, surrounded by reporters who now smelled a far better story. Professor Thorne didn't just steal paintings, I said, my voice clear and calm in the hushed space. He stole a young woman's grief, her voice, her journey. He packaged my trauma as his genius and sold it to you for millions. I turned to face him directly. You told me I should be grateful or be destroyed, so here I am, not grateful. And certainly not destroyed. I gestured to my Veritas paintings. These are for sale. The proceeds will fund a legal foundation for artists fighting intellectual theft. And as for my original works, I looked at the wealthy collectors in the crowd, many of whom own my stolen paintings. I will be filing lawsuits to reclaim each and every one. They are not assets, they are pages from my stolen diary. Chaos erupted. Flashbulbs, shouted questions. Thorne tried to leave but was mobbed. His gallerist was already on the phone, panic in her eyes. I stood calmly in my booth, the epicenter of the storm I had created. The student had not surpassed the master, she had exposed him as a fraud. The art world's foundation, built on authenticity, had just been proved rotten. And from its ruins, I would build something true.